Hey, ChairLife listeners, Chair World is just around the corner. February 1st, 2026, and I'm teaching 2 sessions this year. The first one, How to Find the Intersection Between Your Purpose and Practice, is Monday, February 2nd at 1:30 Pacific time. I really hope to see you there. The second session will be on Tuesday at 8:30 a.m., and it is called Best Practices to Optimize Your Time and Income to Build Your Ideal Practice. I hope you will register for these sessions now. Space is going to be limited. I'm really excited to see you. We've added in a lot of new information this year, and it's going to be great. So we'll see you at Chair World.
Welcome to the ChairLife podcast with Tom Cuthbert. As a CEO coach and master chair, Tom brings you the insights, strategies, and tools to help you build your chair life, where mission and purpose intersect with a balanced work life. This is the path to leading with impact while living with intention. Let's dive in. Here's your host, Tom Cuthbert.
$1 trillion coach Bill Campbell says, your title makes you a manager, but people decide if you're a leader. You know, the fastest way for us to model leadership for our members, those that we're coaching, is to be a leader and never miss one-to-ones with them. Welcome to episode 37 of the ChairLife podcast, and it's high-performing behavior number 11. High-performing members never miss a one-to-one or a mentor meeting. In this past week, 2 of my groups hosted Arena Baranof. Arena has become a great friend and a fantastic chair and an incredible speaker on the art and science of coaching. She reminded us about how important it is to have deep one-to-ones and really build that personal connection with the people that we're leading. So when I speak about high-performing behaviors, this one is very important to me personally. You know, like you, I spend a ton of time coaching and mentoring our members, both in CEO members and conversations with other leaders. And it is such a critical conversation. And the highest performing members that we have don't miss one-to-ones with their team. And they certainly don't miss them with me. So today I wanted to lean in and give you a little color commentary around one-to-ones in our community and why not only they're so important, but how we can do some preventative care, if you will, to make sure that we don't let members get away with missing a one-to-one. As a chair, I model this by scheduling one-to-ones on a recurring basis. Meaning if you're in our group, we're going to meet every Tuesday at 10:20 in the morning on the third Tuesday of the month, or the fourth Thursday of the month at 3 p.m., whatever that may be. We've built a schedule for people to reschedule those one-to-ones when they need to. And in our world, we've gone to usually 90 minutes for almost all of our members. We're also doing almost all of them in person. Most of our members now come to my office near the airport and seem to really enjoy that, and I will rotate and go out to their office as well. Most importantly, it's important for us to understand that trust is built in those private conversations. Member transformation happens there, and it certainly helps our retention for us as chairs to know what's going on inside their life. So these 90-minute meetings a month, and I have about 40 of those, are very important to me. When a member needs to reschedule or reset that time, or if I do, which does happen periodically, I make it a high priority to do so. Sometimes we may have to change from an hour-and-a-half meeting down to an hour phone call or an hour Zoom call if needed. But whatever it takes, make sure that we keep those conversations going, and the cadence of monthly check-in is so critical for us. Vistage own internal data says that members who miss one-to-ones or have them canceled are 4 times more likely to leave. And that's not surprising at all when we don't know what's happening with them, when they may not feel like we care about them. One-to-ones are absolutely the cornerstone of everything that we do. Now, you might argue that that's group meeting, but I would push back. And I would say that people that join our community join it largely for the chair. And the group, no question, is important to them. And as we'll talk about in the next episode, members of the group own the group. But it's that personal relationship with the chair. It's those of us that can literally ask them anything. And so I believe that relationship is critical for us. For my personal brand, I want to be known certainly as a great listener, but also someone that keeps commitments. And so when a member says, my chair never cancels on me, or, I never go a month without checking in and talking to Tom, that's important to me. That's really, really important to me. And I hope that it is to you as well. So, in modeling this for our members, I use an analogy that you may have heard me talk about before, and it's quite simple. It's the salt shaker analogy. If I'm having a conversation with a leader and I see the top end of a salt shaker, it's round and silver and has 16 holes, I'm holding up the other end of that salt shaker for them to see. And I might ask them, what do you see? And they'll say, well, it's square and it's glass and it's white. I'll say, no, we're looking at the same object, but from different perspectives. I use the salt shaker as the analogy when I teach how to have one-to-ones, that's what we need to do. We need to turn the salt shaker around. When we do so, we both see reality. We both see what's in front of us. And by doing that with our members and pushing and pulling them and being there for them, that allows them to learn how to do one-to-ones to take that back to their company. We also reward and expect that high-performing members will be prepared for their one-to-one. We use the one-to-one primer that you can find a sample of on my website at /121 primer, the number's 121. And I also have a page /1to1 that has a whole bunch of resources on there. But we do that by asking them to be prepared. I tell them this is your time. And while I want them to be prepared, when they're not prepared or when there's something that they don't want to talk about, that's when I really drill in and try to fly over their world to surface the most important things for them to talk about. That's really the job that I see for us. It's not that we don't want to talk about to them with the things that are important to them, but we need to really make sure that we're pulling out of them the things that they know they need to talk about, but may not want to talk about. So we enforce this. We enforce the cadence of making sure one-to-ones are important by first making sure that they're scheduled in advance. Secondly, making it easy and a priority for us to reschedule them. And third, and here's another one for you, to be fully present. We need to model our environment and our attention with them. So when we are with them, we're fully focused on them. I cannot tell you the number of times that an emerging leader, an advancing leader will talk to me about one of their leaders that's not really focusing on them. Maybe they're not doing one-to-ones consistently, or they're have them scheduled but are rescheduling them. Maybe they're not present with them. Nothing says I don't care about you than scheduling a one-to-one and then not doing it. And so I think it's very important for us as chairs to model that for our members and push them for that. I ask members to show me their calendar. I certainly, in working with so many other level leaders from the CEOs that we work with, I talk to them constantly about how communication is going and how they're doing inside their company. That allows me to really lean into them and make sure that they are asking for one-to-ones and coaching our CEOs to deliver one-to-ones. High-performing members both want one-to-ones for themselves or a mentor meeting. They also want to deliver those to those that they are leading. So to pull this together, make one-to-ones a priority. Lean into them to be sure that you are modeling the type of behavior that Arena would be proud of, that you will be proud of, and that your member can take back to their direct reports to lead them consistently. Enforce the consistency and the cadence of routine one-to-ones. Schedule them in such a way so that they're easy to reschedule if needed, but never allow them to miss. Track streaks, take notes, ask them to prepare, and make that easy for them as well. When we're doing things like setting and achieving goals, working on strategic plans, focusing on growing enterprise value, fighting off new competitors, navigating the economy, there are unlimited topics for us to drill into. So it's our job to do so. It's also our job to lean in and get to know them as a human being. Know where they're from, how they grew up, and how that connects to who and how they are today. Protect one-to-ones like oxygen. It literally does fill us up. So look at your next 90 days. Check with your members. Ask them over. Ask them what they have learned from you in your one-to-ones with them and how they are applying that into the one-to-ones with their direct reports. Confirm that by talking to the other level leaders as well. Let's make one-to-ones so consistent that we never miss. They are the cornerstone of our practice.
Now it's time for Tom's tips and tricks to optimize your productivity and your chair life.
Peter Drucker says the task of leadership is to create an alignment of strengths in ways that makes people's weaknesses irrelevant. What a powerful quote. There is no question that as we lead and coach and mentor CEOs, their job is to align their team with their strengths to build right people, right seats. I was really struck by a recent Wall Street Journal article that we'll put a link in the show notes for. It's a 10-year, 200,000 employee study that proved out that the single biggest differentiator of high-performing managers is finding and placing the right people in the right seats. This was an article that came out just a few weeks ago, and it really struck me. Virginia Meany is the name of the person who led this study. And she went through separating what these elite managers have, what their traits are that average managers don't. And you might think it was vision or empathy or IQ or, as Jim Collins said, humility. And all of those things are, of course, important. But the conclusion of the article was astounding to me. It is the ability to spot unrecognized strengths and move people into roles where they thrive. Now, as Vistage chairs, this is the job for us to work with our CEOs to make sure that they are world-class at this skill. So let's talk for a minute about the research and then how we can do this, how we can help them do this. So the research showed that the top quartile of managers were 40% more likely to be promoted into big moves. Employees who moved into a better seat got 13% more pay and delivered 16% higher performance. Not surprising at all that high performers are even better when they're in the right seat. The magic wasn't coaching or performance as much as it was really getting those people aligned with what their gifts and skills were. These managers spent 19% more time in one-to-ones, as we've just talked about, developing these strengths. You know, I'm reminded as a San Antonio guy now for many, many years and a San Antonio Spurs fan of a quote from our coach, Greg Popovich, who won a few championships in his day, 5 if you're counting, as all Spurs fans know. Popovich was asked one time, how much time do you spend with the 13th guy on the bench? And Popovich said, I really don't even know his name. Pop was known as spending time with the 5+1. The 6 players, 5 of whom were on the court the vast majority of the time, and then that 6th man for San Antonio, Manu Ginobili generally, that 6th man was so important, and that's where he spent his time. Now, why was that? It's not that he didn't care about players 7 through 13, or even the players that came in and out during the season. It's that he knew that the success would come from his highest performers. And so he spent his one-to-one time. He invested his time with the top performers, the top 6, if you will. He could have taken the weakest player on the team and invested there, as a lot of managers do. But rather than default to fixing weaknesses, instead he doubled down on strengths. When we do this, we get good people that are stuck in the wrong place and they're become chronic underperformers. When we spend time with people trying to get them to perform when they're just flat out in the wrong seat, we're not going to be able to turn that table. When we can focus on people who we can unlock growth from, that is gold for our companies. That's where culture skyrockets and people feel that they're really seen and they're placed where they're best. And all of us like to be doing what we're best and best at. We always feel better about that. So how can we coach this? How can we challenge the CEOs that we're leading to make sure that they have high performers and high potential people in seats that match those skills? I start with question number one. Who's on your team that's in the wrong seat? In my one-to-ones, when I speak to a CEO and we're going through their team, they'll often mention, oh, so-and-so has not been performing well recently. And I'll say, oh, no kidding. And I'll have a system. I'll underline their name if they're not performing great. If we talk about them the second month, I'll circle their name. And if we get to somebody's name, a leader inside the company, if we get to their name 3 times and it's been circled, that really means we need to do something different. So going through person by person with your leaders that you're coaching and looking at every spot on their org chart and challenging them using the Vistage development plan for these people to make sure we are moving them up and to the right. We're finding their performance skills, their gifts. We're getting the motivated people and we're putting them in the best seats. The second question I ask is, when do your people light up? What are they doing when time disappears? I think about that for myself, and the things that I really enjoy doing, I lose track of time really quickly. And by asking CEOs to assess that inside their company by walking around and talking to people and observing people and asking these questions to their team, it will help them figure out where those rising stars are and how to elevate their performance by making sure they're challenged and in the right seat. Here's the challenge that I gave my key group recently. We did the development matrix that Vistage provides us for 5 of the members of their team. All of our CEO members and key members have to identify who the 5 most important people are inside their organization and which one of those people is the right hand. I challenge them to really deeply assess the lowest performing person of those 5 most important people, and if necessary, either invest in them to course correct or make a change. And when they did so, like we've done with issues, tell me what the dollar value impact of that. Time and time again, when we identify that low performer, not that they're a bad person, but they're in the wrong seat, and we take action on that, we always hear that it improves the company. It surprises us, and it shouldn't, because this happens to me and all of us. We never move someone too quickly. We never sit around and say, gosh, I wish I would have waited longer to make that change with that underperformer. Conversely, when we move someone into a spot that they can thrive and grow in, it does not take long for them to show that that move has paid off. So let me end with this. Challenge your CEOs to be elite leaders. They're never going to achieve that until they can be elite talent reallocators, so to speak. That has to be our superpower as a chair, and coaching them is to push them to do that. Take a look at this article and share it with them and talk about who are the top quarter leaders in your organization. How are you tapping into their genius? How are you making sure that you're investing in them to grow with them? Let's go coach greatness. See you next time on the ChairLife podcast.
Thanks for listening to the ChairLife podcast. Remember, you can find more resources at tomcuthbert.com. Please let others know about our podcast by sending them to chairlifepodcast.com. See you next time on the ChairLife podcast.